The moment I saw Table 12's reservation name Carver, party of one, I should have known my life was about to detonate. But I was too busy calculating tips in my head, trying to figure out if tonight's shift would finally cover my brother's medication refill. Luminosa didn't cater to generous tippers despite the marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Old money ate here. The kind that believed a 10% tip was a kindness. Marco, the floor manager, snapped his fingers in front of my face. Table 12, VIP. Don't screw this up. I grabbed the wine list and smoothed my black uniform dress, ignoring how the fabric pulled tight across my ribs. I'd lost weight again. Couldn't afford not to. The private booth sat behind a silk partition at the back of the restaurant, isolated from the other diners. As I rounded the screen, my breath caught. The man sitting there didn't belong in a restaurant. He belonged in a museum, carved from marble and labeled dangerous. Dark hair swept back from a face all sharp angles and brutal beauty. He couldn't have been older than 35, but something ancient lived behind those black eyes that found mine the instant I appeared and held me frozen like prey. His suit probably cost more than my yearly rent. Charcoal grey fitted perfectly to broad shoulders. No tie. The top button undone just enough to reveal a glimpse of ink disappearing beneath the collar. 2 men flanked the booth's entrance, silent, massive, hands clasped in front of them in that universal stance of people paid to hurt other people. "Good evening, Mr. Carver." My voice came out steadier than I felt. "Can I start you with something to drink?" The Barolo. He didn't look at the wine list. His gaze stayed locked on me, cataloguing every detail. 2015. I nodded and fled to the wine cellar, my hands shaking as I retrieved the bottle. $800. If I dropped it, I'd be paying it off for months. When I returned, one of the guards checked the bottle's seal before allowing me to approach. Standard procedure for paranoid rich men, I told myself. Nothing unusual. I presented the bottle to Mr. Carver, went through the opening ritual. Cork removal, the pour for tasting. That's when I smelled it. Faint. Chemical. Wrong. Hidden beneath the wine's deep berry notes, but unmistakable to someone who'd grown up in a sommelier's house. My father had made me memorize poison signatures before I turned 12. Just in case, he'd said. You never know when knowledge might save a life. Dad had been paranoid, obsessive, dead at 43 from a heart attack the doctors said was natural. I'd thought his lessons were madness, until now. Time slowed. Mr. Carver lifted the glass to his lips, and I made a choice that would change everything. I'm so sorry. I lurched forward, my elbow accidentally catching the glass. Crystal shattered. Wine exploded across the white tablecloth, across Mr. Carver's perfect suit, across my trembling hands. For one endless second, silence, then chaos. The guard seized me, slamming me face first into the table. Pain exploded through my cheekbone. Strong hands wrenched my arms behind my back. "Wait," I gasped. "Check it." Mr. Carver's voice cut through the commotion. Cold, absolute. "The wine. Check it now." One guard released me and pulled out a small device, dipping it into the spreading wine puddle. It beeped twice, then flashed red. The temperature in the booth dropped 20 degrees. Mr. Carver stood slowly, his black eyes boring into me. "How did you know?" "The smell." My voice shook. Bitter almonds under the fruit. Cyanide derivative, maybe arsenic compound. "My father taught me." "Who sent you?" He stepped closer, and I could smell expensive cologne mixed with something darker. Danger. Violence held on a leash. "Volkov? Marchetti? Who?" "No one sent me. I'm a waitress. You were going to die." His hand caught my chin, forcing my face up. His touch burned despite the ice in his expression. "You just saved my life. Or you just revealed yourself too early." His thumb brushed across my cheekbone where it was already swelling. "The question is which, sir?" One of the guards leaned close, whispering urgently. Mr. Carver's expression darkened. He released me, straightened his wine-soaked jacket, and made a decision I could see crystallizing behind those cold black eyes. "Get her out of here," he ordered. "Back entrance. Now." "What?" "No." Panic clawed up my throat. The guards grabbed my arms. I fought, but they dragged me toward the kitchen like I weighed nothing. "Mr. Carver, please. I have a brother. He needs me." He followed our procession, phone already to his ears, speaking in rapid Italian. Behind us I heard Marco's protests die the moment Mr. Carver looked at him. They shoved me through the kitchen past shocked cooks and dishwashers, out the back door into the alley where a black SUV waited, engine running. This was it. This was how I disappeared. How girls like me vanished from the world without a trace. "Please," I whispered. "Please, I didn't mean—" Mr. Carver appeared in the doorway, backlit by kitchen light, looking like an avenging angel. Or a demon. "Put her in the car," he said quietly. "Someone just tried to kill me in my own territory. Which means war." His gaze locked onto mine, and I saw my death reflected in those black eyes. "And you, Emma Reeves, just became my most valuable asset." The guard's hand clamped over my mouth as I screamed. I woke to the taste of copper and fear. My head throbbed where it had connected with the SUV's interior during the drive. How long had I been unconscious? Minutes? Hours? The darkness behind my eyelids offered no answers. When I forced my eyes open, I found myself in a chair. Leather. Expensive. My wrists were zip-tied to the armrests, the plastic cutting into my skin. The room was all floor-to-ceiling windows and city lights. A penthouse. Minimalist furniture. Art that probably cost more than my brother's hospital bills. Everything cold and perfect and terrifying. "She's awake," I jerked toward the voice. A man stood in the shadows, not one of the guards from the restaurant. Older, maybe 50, with silver threading through dark hair and a scar bisecting his left eyebrow. He stepped into the light, and I saw the gun holstered at his hip. "My name is Victor." He pulled up a chair, sat backward on it, arms folded across the back. "I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to answer them, truthfully. Where's my phone?" My voice cracked. "My brother. He's sick. He'll be worried your brother is fine. We've been monitoring him." Victor's tone was matter-of-fact. Clinical, now. "How did you know the wine was poisoned?" I told Mr. Carver. "My father, your father, Michael Reeves, died 8 years ago. Heart attack. You were 16. Victor recited the facts like reading a grocery list. He worked as a sommelier at various restaurants. Unremarkable career. Unremarkable death. The casual dismissal of my father's life made rage flare through the fear. "He taught me everything about wine," I said through clenched teeth, "including how to identify contamination. Poisons." He was paranoid, but he wasn't wrong. Tonight proved that, or tonight proved you're an excellent actress. Victor leaned forward. "Who do you work for? Volkov? Marchetti? The Solaras?" "I don't know what those names mean." "Don't lie to me, Emma." "I'm not lying. I work at Luminosa. I work at a coffee shop on weekday mornings. I'm nobody. I'm just—" The door opened. Dante Carver walked in, and the air pressure changed. He'd showered, changed into fresh clothes, black shirt, dark jeans, still barefoot, which somehow made him more dangerous, more unpredictable. His gaze swept over me, lingered on my bound wrists. Something flickered in his expression. "Out," he said quietly to Victor. "Sir, I haven't finished out." Victor left without another word. Dante circled my chair slowly, a predator assessing prey. I tracked his movement, my pulse hammering against my throat. "You're afraid," he observed. "Yes. Good. Fear keeps people alive." He stopped in front of me, crouched down so we were eye level. This close, I could see details I'd missed at the restaurant. The small scar cutting through his bottom lip. The shadow of exhaustion beneath those black eyes. The tattoo on his necroman numerals disappearing beneath his collar. "I'm going to ask you one question, Emma, and I'll know if you're lying." His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "Why did you risk your life for a stranger?" The question caught me off guard. Not who sent you or what do you want? Just why. I thought about lying, about crafting an answer that made me sound calculated or brave, but something in his eyes demanded truth. Because no one deserves to die like that, I said softly. Poisoned. Alone. Not knowing who or why. My father died suddenly, and I never got to say goodbye. I couldn't watch someone else. My voice broke. Dante studied my face for a long moment. Then he pulled a knife from his pocket. I flinched, but he simply cut the zip ties, freeing my wrists. You're either the best liar I've ever met, he said, standing, or you're genuinely suicidal. He walked to the window, hands in his pockets, silhouetted against the city. The Volkov family tried to kill me tonight. Do you know what that means? I rubbed my aching wrists. War? War, he confirmed. And you, Emma Reeves, are now a witness. A variable. A liability they can't afford to leave alive. Ice flooded my veins. But I don't know anything. I'm not. You identified a poison their best chemist designed to be undetectable. You interfered with an assassination. They saw you dragged out by my men. He turned to face me, and the coldness in his expression made my breath catch. To them, you're already mine. Which makes you a target. So what happens now? I whispered. You kill me to eliminate the liability? No. Something dark and possessive flickered across his face. I protect you. Why would you? Because you saved my life. And I pay my debts. He moved closer, and I felt the heat radiating from him, despite the ice in his demeanor. You have two choices, Emma. Stay here under my protection until the threat is eliminated, or walk out that door and take your chances alone. It wasn't really a choice. We both knew it. How long? I asked instead. As long as it takes. My brother needs me. His medication will be provided, along with anything else he requires. Dante's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his entire body went rigid. Victor, now. The door burst open. Victor appeared, weapon drawn. Sir, we have incoming. The window exploded inward. Glass rained down as Dante tackled me to the floor, his body covering mine completely. The crack of gunfire erupted, deafening in the enclosed space. Stay down! Dante's growl vibrated against my back. More shots! Shouting, the acrid smell of gunpowder. Dante's weight pressed me into the carpet, and I felt his heart hammering against my spine. Felt the coiled violence in every muscle as he shielded me from the attack. You're mine now, he breathed against my ear, barely audible over the chaos. And I protect what's mine. The attack had lasted 4 minutes. 4 minutes of gunfire and chaos. 4 minutes of Dante's body shielding mine while his men returned fire. 4 minutes that ended with 3 dead Volkov soldiers and a penthouse that looked like a war zone. Then Dante had actually carried me like... I weighed nothing down 17 flights of stairs to an underground garage where another SUV waited. I'd passed out somewhere on the highway. Now I woke to silence. Not the city's silence of distant sirens and traffic. Real silence. The kind that pressed against your eardrums and made you aware of your own heartbeat. I sat up slowly, my body aching from the tackle. The room around me was rustic exposed wooden beams, a stone fireplace, furniture that looked hand-carved. Sunlight streamed through windows that revealed nothing but pine trees and mountains stretching endlessly in every direction. We weren't in the city anymore. The door opened. Dante entered carrying a tray, coffee, toast, eggs. He'd changed again. Dark Henley jeans. Still barefoot. His hair was damp from a shower. You're awake, he said, setting the tray on the nightstand. Eat. Where are we? Safe house? 2 hours north of the city. He moved to the window, surveying the forest like he expected enemies to materialize from the trees. The Volkovs attacked within 90 minutes of the poisoning attempt. That means they have surveillance on all my properties. They knew exactly where to find you. I pushed off the bed, ignoring the food despite my growling stomach. You can't just kidnap me. I saved your life. Again. He turned, and the morning light caught his face, highlighting the exhaustion carved into his features. 3 men died trying to kill you last night, Emma. 3. How many more do you think they'll send? I didn't ask for this. My voice cracked. I have a life. A job. My brother depends on me. Jackson needs his medication every 6 hours, and I'm the only one who— Dante pulled out his phone, made a call. Relocate the brother. St. Catherine's Medical Facility. Private room, round-the-clock care, everything he needs. He paused, listening. I don't care what it costs. Do it now. He ended the call and looked at me. Done. The casual efficiency stole my breath. You can't just— St. Catherine's is— That's where rich people go to die in comfort. We can't afford. You're not paying. He moved closer and I backed up until my legs hit the bed. Your life is mine to manage now, Emma. That includes everyone you love. Your brother will have the best care available. You'll have everything you need. And in exchange, you stay alive. This isn't protection, I said, hating how my voice shook. This is imprisonment. Call it whatever helps you sleep at night. He gestured to the tray. Eat. You're too thin. Don't tell me what to eat, Emma. The command in his voice sent shivers down my spine. Or I'll feed you myself. We stared at each other, wills clashing in the silence. Finally, I grabbed a piece of toast and bit into it viciously. Satisfied, Dante left. I spent the day exploring my gilded cage. The safe house was beautiful, all natural wood and stone, a chef's kitchen, a library stocked with books, a gym. Everything designed for long-term isolation. But no phones. No internet. No connection to the outside world. By evening, claustrophobia clawed at my throat. I found Dante in the main room, working on a laptop, 3 phones arranged on the coffee table. How long? I demanded. As long as it takes to eliminate the threat. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. He didn't look up from the screen. The Volkovs won't stop until they've sent a message. That message usually involves bodies, so I'm just supposed to wait here. Hidden away like some princess in a tower. Yes. The simplicity of it enraged me. I grabbed my jacket from the hook by the door. What are you doing? Dante's voice sharpened. Going for a walk. Emma! I yanked open the front door and stepped into the freezing mountain air. November cold bit through my jacket immediately, but I didn't care. I needed space, distance, proof that I wasn't completely powerless. Behind me I heard Dante stand, but he didn't follow. I walked down the gravel driveway, past the parked SUV, into the tree line. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of amber and blood. My breath misted in the cold. 100 yards. 200. Freedom felt close enough to taste. Then headlights flooded the trees. I spun around to find the SUV idling 20 feet away, engine purring. Dante leaned against the driver's side door, arms crossed, completely unbothered by the cold, despite wearing only his Henley. He'd followed me, silently, letting me think I was escaping. Done running? He asked. The quiet amusement in his voice made rage and something else, something dangerous girl through my stomach. How did you track us in the jacket? He pushed off the SUV, closing the distance between us in 3 strides. In the shoes I left for you. In the watch on your wrist. His hand caught my chin, tilting my face up. I meant what I said, Emma. You're mine to protect now. That means I know where you are. Always. I should have been terrified. Should have slapped him. Run. Instead I felt heat bloom where his fingers touched my skin. I don't need— No. His thumb brushed across my lower lip and my breath caught. You need someone strong enough to keep you alive. Whether you want it or not. The forest grew darker around us. Colder. Get in the car, Emma. His voice dropped to gravel. Before you freeze. And if I refuse— His smile was all teeth and shadows. Then I'll carry you. Again. We stared at each other in the dying light, and I realized with crystal clarity that I had no power here. No leverage. No escape. Dante Carver had claimed me as his responsibility. And he would protect me even if it killed us both. I got in the car. Not because he'd won, Because hypothermia wasn't how I planned to die. The drive back to the safe house took less than 2 minutes. We'd been that close the entire time. He'd let me think I was escaping. Let me walk into the darkness, all while tracking my every step. The humiliation burned hotter than the shame. Inside, Dante went straight to the fireplace and built up the flames while I stood dripping melted snow onto the hardwood. My hands shook from cold or fury, I couldn't tell. Why are you really doing this? The question burst out before I could stop it. You could hide me anywhere. Some remote cabin with guards. Forget I exist. Why keep me here with you? Dante straightened from the fire, brushing ash from his hands. For a long moment, he just looked at me, calculating something. Then he made a decision. Because you're useful. Not the answer I'd expected. What? Sit down, Emma. He gestured to the sofa near the fire. We need to talk. I stayed standing. About what? About why you're still alive. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, set one on the coffee table in front of the empty seat. And what I need from you. Slowly I sat. Took the glass because my hands needed something to hold. The whiskey burned going down, chasing away some of the cold. Dante settled into the chair across from me, elbows on his knees, glass dangling from his fingers. The Volkovs didn't just try to kill me. They succeeded in sending a message. I have a traitor in my organization. Someone close enough to tamper with my wine. You think I can help you find them? Disbelief colored my voice. I'm a waitress. You're a waitress with a very specific skill. His black eyes locked onto mine. You can identify poisons. Not just cyanide or arsenic, derivatives, compounds, things designed to be undetectable. Your father taught you well. Memory flashed. Dad making me smell dozens of wines, teaching me to pick out the wrong notes. The bitter, the chemical, the deadly. So what? I said carefully. You want me to taste test your food like some medieval food taster? No. Dante leaned back, studying me. I want you to help me draw out the mole. The Volkovs don't know who you are yet, just that you interfered. You can move through the city, through my organization, undetected. You can test drinks at meetings, identify threats before they strike. You're insane. I set the glass down before I threw it. I'm not a spy. I'm not trained for. I'll train you. He said it with absolute certainty. Everything you need to know. How to lie convincingly. How to spot surveillance. How to survive if things go wrong and if I refuse. You won't. The arrogance should have infuriated me. Instead, something else crept in. Curiosity. Why are you so sure? Because your brother needs a liver transplant. Dante delivered the words like bullets. Clean, precise, devastating. St. Catherine's has already run preliminary tests. He's been on the waiting list for 8 months. The transplant costs $400,000. You have $1,200 in savings. The air left my lungs. How do you... I know everything about you, Emma. He stood, moved to the fireplace, one hand braced against the mantel. I know you work 70 hours a week. I know you donate plasma twice a month for extra cash. I know you haven't bought new clothes in 2 years because every penny goes to Jackson's care. Tears burned behind my eyes. I refused to let them fall. So what's your offer? My voice came out hollow. I help you find your traitor and you pay for the transplant. The transplant is already arranged. He'll have it within 3 months. Dante turned to face me. What I'm offering is $100,000 cash when this is over. Clean, untraceable, enough to give you both a fresh start. My hands clenched in my lap. Everything I'd been fighting for, struggling for, sacrificing for, he was offering it like it meant nothing to him. Because it didn't. To him, $100,000 was pocket change. To me, it was salvation. There has to be a catch, I whispered. The catch is you might die. His honesty was brutal. The Volkovs are dangerous. My world is dangerous. I'll do everything in my power to protect you, but I can't guarantee your safety. Only that if you die, it won't be alone. The weight of the choice crushed down on me. Risk my life to save Jackson's. Become a pawn in a war I didn't understand. Trust a man who'd kidnapped me, tracked me, controlled every aspect of my existence in less than 24 hours. But Jackson's face flashed in my mind. Pale. Sick. Running out of time. One condition, I said finally. You tell me the truth. Always. No lies. No manipulation. If you want my help, I need to know what I'm walking into. Dante crossed the room, extended his hand. Deal. I stared at his outstretched palm. Once I shook it, there was no going back. Electricity arced between us the moment our skin touched. Placed my hand in his. His hand was warm, calloused, completely engulfing mine. I felt his pulse jump, or maybe that was mine. His jaw tightened. His grip held a fraction too long. Get some sleep, he said, voice rough as gravel. Training starts tomorrow. He released me and walked away, leaving me standing by the fire with my palms still burning. That night, I lay awake in the guest room, replaying the moment our hands had touched. The heat, the connection, the way something fundamental had shifted between us. Outside my door, I heard footsteps. Pacing. Dante, unable to walk away. Through the wood, I heard him mutter to himself, "What have I done?" I pressed my hand against the door, feeling his presence on the other side, and wondered the exact same thing. Training started at dawn. I woke to Dante pounding on my door, his voice cutting through sleep like a blade. Up, now. You have 5 minutes. I stumbled into the main room wearing borrowed sweatpants and a t-shirt that smelled like expensive detergent. Dante stood by the kitchen counter, 2 coffee mugs waiting. He'd already been up for hours. I could tell by the empty cups in the sink, the laptop open to surveillance feeds. Drink, he said, handing me one. Then we begin. The coffee was perfect. Of course it was. He probably knew how I took it the same way he knew everything else about me. For the next 3 hours, Dante taught me how to lie. Look me in the eyes, he commanded. Tell me you hate me. I hate you. I don't believe you. Again. I hate you. Your pupils dilated. You're lying. Again. We went in circles until my voice went hoarse. Until I could say anything, truth or fiction, with the same flat conviction. Until I understood that lying wasn't about the words. It was about controlling every micro-expression, every tell, every involuntary response. Good, Dante said finally. Now tell me you love me. The words stuck in my throat. Emma, I love you. It came out strangled, better. Something flickered in his eyes. Remember that feeling? Fear makes the best lies convincing. After lunch prepared by Dante with the same efficiency he brought to everything, we moved to surveillance detection. He walked me through how to spot a tail, how to use reflections in windows, how to know when you were being watched. Trust your instincts, he said, circling me slowly. Your body knows danger before your mind does. That crawling feeling on the back of your neck. The sense that something's wrong? Don't ignore it. Is that how you knew about the poison? I asked. Instinct? No. His expression darkened. I knew because I'd been poisoned before. The admission hung between us. When? I asked softly. He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then I was 19. Family dinner. My father drank first, his hands flexed at his sides. I watched him die. Took 11 minutes. Every second of it. Horror flooded through me. Dante, that's why I check everything. He held up his scarred hands. These are from when I tried to force him to vomit. The poison burned through his esophagus. Through my skin. His black eyes met mine. I've spent 12 years making sure it never happens again. Understanding crashed over me. The paranoia. The control. The absolute refusal to trust anyone. I'm sorry, I whispered. Don't be sorry. He stepped closer. Be better. Learn faster. Stay alive. We trained until my muscles screamed. Self-defense basics. How to break a hold. Where to strike. How to run. Dante was patient but demanding, correcting my stance, my grip, my instincts. "You're too hesitant," he said, catching my wrist mid-strike. "If someone grabs you, you don't pull away politely. You hurt them. Commit. I'm not a fighter. You are now." His hand slid from my wrist to my palm, adjusting my fingers into a proper fist. Thumb outside. Aim for soft targets. Eyes, throat, groin. Fight dirty or don't fight at all. The heat of his touch distracted me from his words. "Emma," his voice dropped. "Are you listening?" "Yes." Liar. But he didn't release my hand. That night, we ended up in the library. Dante opened a bottle of wine. Actually opened it, not just served it, and we sat by the fire. "Why do you do this?" I asked. "The crime, the violence. You're clearly intelligent. You could do anything. I'd do what I was born to do." He stared into the flames. "My father ran the organization. When he died, I had two choices: take control or watch everything he built get torn apart by vultures. I was 27, too young, too angry, but I learned fast. Do you regret it?" "Every day." The honesty surprised me. But regret doesn't change reality. It just makes you weak. I studied his profile, the sharp jaw, the exhaustion carved into his features, the weight he carried alone. "You're not a monster," I said softly. He turned to look at me, and the vulnerability in his expression stole my breath. "Yes, I am, Emma. I've killed people, ordered deaths, destroyed lives." His hand lifted, hovering near my face like he wanted to touch me but was holding himself back. "The question is whether you can live with that." "I don't know," I admitted, "but I'm starting to understand why." Something shifted in his eyes. Heat replacing ice. We sat there as the fire burned low, neither of us willing to break the moment. When I finally dozed off against the arm of the sofa, I felt Dante lift me, gentle despite his strength, and carry me to my room. He laid me on the bed, pulled the blanket over me. I stirred, murmuring his name without meaning to. Dante froze. His hand hovered over my cheek, trembling slightly. "I can't want you," he whispered, so quiet I almost didn't hear. But God help me, I do. Then he left, closing the door between us. But the barrier felt thinner than before. 3 weeks of training condensed into 72 hours of hell. By the time Dante declared me ready, I could lie without flinching, spot a tail from 3 blocks away, and disable a man twice my size if I aimed for the right pressure points. I still didn't feel ready. "You'll be fine," Dante said, adjusting the hidden camera disguised as a pendant around my neck. "Victor's team will be positioned throughout the venue. You're never more than 30 seconds from extraction." We stood in a luxury hotel suite in the city, our staging area for the mission. Outside the windows, Manhattan glittered like broken glass. The Volkov family was hosting a charity fundraiser tonight. High society, political connections, all a front for laundering money and building alliances. Dante needed someone inside to test the drinks. Someone the Volkovs wouldn't recognize. Someone expendable. He didn't say that last part. He didn't have to. "Remember," Dante continued, his hands gentle as he checked the camera's position. "You're Sophia Marchong, wine consultant from Napa Valley. You're there to observe, to network. You taste the champagne when they make the toast. If anything's wrong, you signal Victor. Touch my left earring," I recited. "He creates a diversion." I exit through the kitchen. "Good." His hands lingered at my collarbone, and I felt his pulse jump beneath my fingertips where they rested against his wrist. "Emma, I know the plan, Dante." That's not what I was going to say. His black eyes searched mine. "If anything goes wrong, if you feel unsafe for even a second, you run. Forget the mission. Forget everything. You get out." The raw protectiveness in his voice made my chest tight. "I thought you needed this intelligence. I need you alive more." He stepped back abruptly, severing the contact. "The dress is in the bedroom. You have 20 minutes. The gown was emerald silk that hugged every curve and cost more than 6 months of my old rent." I barely recognized myself in the mere hair styled in elegant waves, makeup professionally applied by a woman who'd arrived at dawn. I looked like I belonged in Dante's world. The realization terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. The fundraiser was held at the plaza, all crystal chandeliers and old money. I moved through the crowd with practiced ease, my training keeping my pulse steady even as panic screamed beneath the surface. I accepted champagne from passing waiters, made small talk with donors, smiled until my face ached. Then I saw the toast being prepared. 6 bottles of Dom Perignon, each opened by white-gloved servers. I drifted closer, letting my professional curiosity guide me to the table. The third bottle smelled wrong. Not strongly, just a hint of something acrid beneath the yeast and bubbles. But enough. I touched my left earring. Across the room, Victor moved. But before the diversion could happen, a hand touched my lower back. Sophia Marchand, a voice purred in accented English. I don't believe we've met. I turned to find a man in his early 30s, handsome in a cruel way, with ice blue eyes and a smile that promised violence. Alexei Volkov. I recognized him from the photos Dante had shown me. Mr. Volkov. My training kicked in. Smile. Extend hand. What a beautiful event. Beautiful, yes. His grip on my hand lingered too long, his thumb brushing across my knuckles. Though I'm trying to place where we've met before. You seem so familiar. Ice flooded my veins, but I laughed, light, unconcerned. I have one of those faces. People always think they know me. Perhaps. He stepped closer, and I smelled expensive cologne mixed with something darker. Gunpowder, like Dante? Or perhaps I've simply been waiting to meet someone as captivating as you. I flirted back, hating every second, buying time for Victor's team. Alexei's hand slid from my back to my waist, proprietary and possessive. Then the fire alarm screamed. Chaos erupted. Guests rushed for exits. In the confusion, I slipped away, heart hammering, Alexei's touch still burning on my skin. Victor grabbed my arm in the kitchen corridor. Move. We were in the SUV within 90 seconds, pulling into traffic as police and fire trucks converged on the plaza. I'd done it. Survived my first mission. But when I looked at the monitor showing the live feed from my camera, I saw Dante's face. Fury didn't begin to describe his expression. He touched you, Dante snarled through the cums, his voice distorted by rage. He put his hands on you. Dante, I'm fine. He's a dead man. The SUV screeched to a halt at the safe house. Dante was waiting outside, pacing like a caged animal. The moment I stepped out, he was there, hands framing my face, eyes wild as they searched for injuries. Did he hurt you? His voice shook. Did he? No. I'm fine. I handled it. You shouldn't have had to handle it. He backed me against the SUV, his body caging mine, trembling with barely controlled violence. You could have died tonight, Emma. Do you have any idea what that would do to me? Dante, he kissed me. Not gentle. Not asking permission. His mouth claimed mine with desperate possession, swallowing my gasp, his hands tangling in my carefully styled hair. I should have pushed him away. Instead, I kissed him back. The kiss shattered every wall between us. Dante kissed me like I was air and he'd been drowning. Like touching me was the only thing keeping him tethered to earth. His hand slid from my face to my waist, pulling me flush against him, and I felt the tremor running through his powerful body. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead pressed against mine. Emma. My name was a prayer and a curse on his lips. We can't. I know. This is wrong. You're under my protection. I'm taking advantage. I kissed him this time, silencing the protests, pouring 3 weeks of tension and fear and something deeper into the contact. When I pulled back, his black eyes had gone molten. Inside, he growled. Now. We barely made it through the door. Dante lifted me like I weighed nothing, my legs wrapping around his waist as he carried me up the stairs. We shed clothes in a trail of silk and weapons. His bedroom was all dark wood and shadows, but I barely saw it. I only saw him. What happened next was raw and desperate and overwhelming. Dante touched me like he was memorizing every inch of skin, like I might disappear if he let go. And I surrendered to him, with a completeness that should have terrified me. Mine, he breathed against my throat. Say it. Yours, I gasped. I'm yours. Afterward, we lay tangled in sheets that smelled like him, my head on his chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns down my spine. His heartbeat gradually slowed beneath my ear. I didn't plan this, he said quietly into the darkness. I know. I should regret it. Do you? His arms tightened around me. No. I fell asleep feeling safe for the first time in years. I woke alone. Cold morning light filtered through the windows. The space beside me was empty, the sheets cool. Dante had been gone for hours. I found him in his office downstairs, fully dressed in a suit, phone pressed to his ear, every inch the crime lord. When he saw me in the doorway wearing his shirt, something flickered across his face. Then it was gone, replaced by ice. He ended the call. We need to talk. My stomach dropped. Okay. The mission is over. His voice was flat, professional, distant. We identified the poisoned champagne. My team has leads on the mole. You're free to go. The words hit like physical blows. What? Victor will drive you back to the city. Your brother's care is arranged. The $100,000 will be wired to your account by end of day. He wouldn't meet my eyes. You fulfilled your end of the bargain. So that's it? Anger surged through the hurt. Last night meant nothing? Last night was a mistake. Look at me and say that. I crossed the room, forced myself into his line of sight. Look at me, Dante, and tell me it was a mistake. His jaw clenched, but he met my gaze. It was a mistake. The lie was transparent. I saw it in the way his hands fisted at his sides, the muscle jumping in his jaw, the carefully blank expression that cost him everything to maintain. Why are you doing this? My voice cracked. Because I can't keep you safe if I'm distracted. The words exploded from him. And you distract me, Emma. Every second of every day. When Alexei touched you last night, I wanted to burn down that entire hotel. That's not protection. That's obsession. An obsession gets people killed in my world. So you're pushing me away for my own good? Bitterness flooded my tone. How noble. I'm pushing you away before I get you killed. He slammed his hand on the desk, making me jump. You don't belong in this world. You deserve normal, safe, someone who doesn't have to check their food for poison or sleep with a gun under their pillow. You don't get to decide what I deserve. The words came from somewhere deep and certain. I'm not leaving. Emma, I'm not leaving, I repeated, stepping closer. Not because I'm trapped. Not because of the money or my brother, but because I don't want to. His control visibly cracked. You don't know what you're asking for. Then tell me. I closed the remaining distance, placed my hand over his racing heart. Tell me why I should go. Convince me. My world will destroy you. His hand covered mine, pressing it harder against his chest. Everyone I love ends up dead or broken. My mother. My father. I won't do that to you. I'm already broken, Dante. I was broken long before you found me. I looked up at him, letting him see the truth. But with you, I feel like maybe I could be whole again. Something in him shattered. He pulled me against him, buried his face in my hair. I can't promise you safety. I can't promise you normal. I don't want normal. My arms wrapped around him, holding tight. I want you. Emma, the office door slammed open. Victor stood there, weapon drawn, face pale. Sir, we have a problem. Dante's entire body went rigid. What? Alexei Volkov just posted Emma's photo to his network. Victor's voice was grim. He knows who she is. Her real name. Where she worked. Everything. Ice flooded my veins. How long do we have? Dante's voice was deadly calm. He's mobilizing now. Maybe an hour before they hit every location you own. Dante's arms tightened around me, protective and possessive. Then we move. Alert all teams. Lockdown protocol, sir. Do it. Now. Victor left. Dante pulled back, cupped my face between his hands. The vulnerability in his eyes stole my breath. You wanted to stay? His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. Then stay. Fight with me. Trust me to keep you alive. Always, I whispered. Then let's go to war. The first safe house fell within 40 minutes. We weren't there. Dante had moved us the moment Victor delivered the warning. But the explosion lit up the horizon like a second sun, visible even from 20 miles away. That was the Brooklyn warehouse, Victor said from the driver's seat, voice tight. 12 men stationed there. Casualties? Dante's arm was locked around me in the back seat, keeping me anchored against the chaos. Unknown. Teams are scattered. Communications compromised. Dante's jaw clenched, but his voice remained calm. Route everyone to secondary locations. Activate the emergency protocols. For the next 6 hours we ran. Safe house to safe house. Never staying longer than 30 minutes. Always moving, always one step ahead of the Volkov soldiers hunting us through the city. I watched Dante orchestrate it all with terrifying efficiency. Calls made in rapid Italian and Russian. Orders delivered with absolute authority. Men's lives rearranged with a single command. This was the crime lord, the strategist. The man willing to sacrifice anything to win. But I also saw something else. The way he checked on his people. Ensured the injured got medical care. Promised bonuses to families of the fallen. He was ruthless, yes, but loyal to those under his protection. We ended up in a decrepit apartment in Queens, 4th-floor walk-up, peeling wallpaper and water-stained ceilings. Victor swept the rooms while Dante's remaining men took positions at windows and doors. Sir, one of the guards, Marco, young, maybe 25, approached nervously. We have a situation. Dante's expression darkened. Show me. They disappeared into the bedroom. Through the thin walls I heard raised voices. Then a single gunshot. Silence. Dante emerged alone, blood spatter on his white shirt, his weapon still drawn. Marco was the mole, he said flatly to Victor. Volkov turned him 3 months ago. He's been feeding them locations. My stomach turned, but I kept my expression neutral. Clean it up, Dante continued. We move in 10 minutes. He walked past me to the bathroom, began washing blood from his hands with clinical detachment. I followed, closed the door behind us. You should leave, Dante said, not looking at me. The water ran red in the sink. You shouldn't have to see this. I'm not leaving. I just killed a kid. Emma, 25 years old. Scared. Made a mistake. His hands gripped the sink edge, knuckles white. That's who I am. That's what I do. I stepped closer, placed my hand on his back, felt the tension coiled in every muscle. He betrayed you. Led the Volkovs to your people. People died because of him. That doesn't make it easier. It's not supposed to be easy. I turned him to face me, forced him to meet my eyes. If it was easy, you'd be the monster you think you are. Something cracked in his expression. You should hate me, he whispered. I should. I reached up, wiped a spot of blood from his jaw. But I don't. I see what you are, Dante. All of it. The violence and the protection. The ruthlessness and the loyalty. And I'm still here. He pulled me against him, held me like I was the only solid thing in a collapsing world. I won't let them take you, he breathed into my hair. I'll burn everything down first. I know. We stayed like that until Victor knocked, signaling time to move. The final safe house was a hunting cabin 2 hours north. Remote, defensible, stocked for a siege. Dante's remaining minute totaled took watch in shifts while we waited for dawn. For the next move. For the war to finally reach us. I fell asleep on a worn couch, exhausted beyond measure. When I woke hours later, grey pre-dawn light filtered through dusty windows. Dante was gone. Panic spiked through me. I searched the cabin kitchen, bedrooms, basement. Then I saw the note on the nightstand weighed down by his watch. Emma, ending this. Can't keep running. Can't keep risking you. Alexei wants me. He'll get me. On my terms. If I don't come back, Victor will take care of you. The money, your brother, everything is arranged. You saved my life once. Let me save yours now. Do know. The word tore from my throat. No, no, no. Victor appeared in the doorway, expression grim. How long? I demanded. He left an hour ago. Where? The docks. Warehouse district. He called Alexei. Challenged him to end it face to face. I was already moving, grabbing my jacket, my shoes. Miss Reeves, you can't watch me. Victor tried to stop me. I used the pressure point technique Dante had taught me, dropped him to his knees, and stole his gun before he could recover. Sorry, I said, already out the door. His SUV keys were in my pocket. I'd lifted them while he was distracted. 3 weeks of training had taught me more than just how to spot poison. The drive to the docks took 90 minutes of breaking every traffic law. Dawn broke over the water as I pulled up to the warehouse district, killing the lights and engine. Dante's black SUV sat empty outside Warehouse 7. I checked the gun. 9 rounds. Safety off. My hands didn't shake. The warehouse door was unlocked. Inside, shipping containers created a maze of shadows and metal. I moved silently, using the techniques Dante had drilled into me. Trust your instincts, stay low, control your breathing. Voices echoed from the center of the space. I crept closer, using containers for cover, until I could see them. Dante stood in a cleared area, hands empty, surrounded by 6 Volkov soldiers with weapons drawn. Alexei circled him like a predator, smiling. Blood ran down Dante's face from a cut above his eye. His jacket was gone, shirt torn. He'd been fighting. You came alone, Alexei said, amused. How noble. How stupid. You wanted me. Here I am. Dante's voice was steady despite the guns pointed at him. Let's end this. Oh, we will. Alexei stopped in front of him. But first, I want to know, where is she? The little waitress who ruined my poison. Dante's expression didn't change. Dead. Collateral damage from your attack. Liar. Alexei backhanded him. Dante's head snapped to the side, but he didn't fall. I have men watching the morgues, the hospitals. She's alive. You hid her. Believe what you want. I will find her, you know. Alexei leaned closer. And when I do, I'll make you watch while I stepped out from behind the container, gun raised. You'll do nothing, I said, voice cold. Every head turned. Dante's eyes went wide. Emma, no, Alexei laughed. The mouse's teeth. How delightful. Let him go. My aim never wavered, pointed directly at Alexei's chest. Or I put a bullet between your eyes. You won't shoot. Alexei's confidence was absolute. You're not a killer, little mouse. You're right, I smiled. But I don't have to kill you. Just distract you. I fired not at Alexei, but at the overhead lights. Glass exploded. Darkness swallowed the warehouse. Gunfire erupted. I dropped and rolled, exactly as Dante had taught me, as bullets shredded the air where I'd been standing. Through the chaos, I heard Dante move. The crack of bone. A scream cut short. The wet sound of a blade finding flesh. When emergency lights flickered on 30 seconds later, 4 Volkov soldiers were down. Dante stood over Alexei, who was on his knees, Dante's knife pressed to his throat. Emma, Dante said, not taking his eyes off Alexei. Get out of here! No! Emma! The remaining 2 soldiers raised their weapons. I shot them both. Center mass. Clean. They dropped. The gun fell from my shaking hands. Now, Dante said to Alexei, his voice lethal calm. You were saying something about what you'd do to her. Alexei spat blood. The Volkovs will never stop. Kill me and my family. Your family is already negotiating surrender. Dante's smile was all teeth. I've been busy this last hour. Your father, your uncles, your cousins, they all agreed. You for peace. Alexei's face went pale. They wouldn't. They did. You started a war you couldn't win. They're cutting their losses. You can't. Dante cut his throat in one smooth motion. Alexei collapsed, choking, dying. Dante stepped over the body, walked straight to me, hauled me against him. You were supposed to stay safe. he growled, hands running over me, checking for injuries. You were supposed to. I don't need safe. I grabbed his face, forced him to look at me. I need you. Don't you understand? Can't lose you. You could have died, so could you. Tears streamed down my face. You don't get to sacrifice yourself and expect me to just accept it. We're partners, Dante. Equals. That means we fight together. He kissed me then, desperate and fierce, tasting like blood and smoke and survival. When we finally broke apart, sirens wailed in the distance. We need to go, he said. Together? Always. He pulled me toward the exit. You're stuck with me now, Emma Reeves. No escape. Good, I whispered against his chest. Wasn't planning on running. 3 months later, the hospital waiting room smelled like antiseptic and hope. I sat with my hands clasped, watching the clock tick through the 8th hour of Jackson's transplant surgery. Dante sat beside me, his hand covering mine, thumb tracing circles on my wrist. He's strong, Dante said quietly. Like his sister. I leaned into him, drawing strength from his solid presence. I can't lose him. You won't. Certainty colored his voice. The surgeon is the best in the country. Jackson will be fine. He was right. An hour later, the doctor emerged with news. Successful transplant, excellent prognosis, recovery starting well. I cried against Dante's chest while he held me, whispering reassurances in Italian. That night we drove back to the penthouse, the real one, rebuilt after the Volkov attack. The war had ended with Alexei's death. The remaining Volkovs had honored their bargain, peace in exchange for their heir's body. Dante's organization was stronger now, leaner, loyal. He'd purged the weak links, promoted the faithful, and restructured everything, and I'd been part of it, not as decoration or liability, but as partner. I'd used my skills to vet suppliers, identify threats, prevent 3 more poisoning attempts in the months since the docks. I'd found my place in Dante's world, not by becoming like him, but by complementing him. His ruthlessness balanced by my conscience, his violence tempered by my mercy, his darkness lit by my determination to do some good with all this blood money. I have something for you, Dante said as we entered the penthouse. He led me to the terrace overlooking the city. Manhattan glittered below us, infinite and alive. From his pocket he withdrew a velvet box. My breath caught. I know we've only known each other 4 months, he began, opening it to reveal a ring that stole my breath, blood-red ruby surrounded by diamonds set in platinum. I know this world is dangerous and our future is uncertain. I know I can't promise you normal or safe or easy, he dropped to one knee, but I can promise you everything I am. Every resource I have. Every breath in my body. His black eyes held mine, vulnerable and fierce. I can promise to protect you, fight for you, stand beside you against anything this world throws at us. Emma Reeves, will you marry me? I pulled him to his feet, kissed him hard, tasted salt, my tears or his. I couldn't tell. Yes, I whispered against his mouth. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring onto my finger. Perfect fit. Of course. We stood on that terrace for hours, planning a future neither of us had dared imagine 6 months ago. 6 weeks later, the charity gala was Dante's idea legitimate fundraiser for childhood cancer research. Money laundering, sure, but money that would actually help people. I wore emerald silk that matched my engagement ring's accent stones. Dante wore a tuxedo that made him look like sin incarnate. We worked the room together. Dante charming politicians and businessmen. Me connecting with their wives, their daughters, the people who actually made donation decisions. You two are quite the power couple, Victoria observed, champagne in hand. She'd become something like a friend in recent months. The city's already whispering about the wedding. Let them whisper, I said, smiling as Dante caught my eye across the room. Someone asked how we met. He got poisoned at my restaurant, I said truthfully. I saved his life. Then he saved mine. How romantic, the woman gushed. If only she knew the half of it. As the evening wound down, Dante and I made our exit. His hand settled at the small of my back-possessive, protective home. We were almost to the car when I saw him. A face in the crowd. Familiar. Impossible. One of Alexei's personal guards. The one who'd been away during the warehouse confrontation. The one we'd assumed fled to Europe. He met my eyes, smiled, then disappeared into the crowd. Ice flooded my veins. I squeezed Dante's hand. We have a problem. He followed my gaze, instantly alert. Where, Volkov soldier? Alexei's man. He's here. Dante's expression hardened, but his hand on my back never wavered. He pulled out his phone, sent a rapid text to Victor. Can't ever be simple, can it? I said, trying for levity. No, he opened the car door for me, scanning the street with predator focus. But we'll handle it. Together? He slid in beside me, pulled me close as the driver navigated into traffic. Always together. He kissed my temple, and I felt him smile against my skin. You're stuck with me now, Emma Carver too. For better or worse. Mostly worse, I teased. Probably. His arms tightened around me, but never boring. As we disappeared into the city night, I looked at my ring, catching streetlight. Thought about Jackson recovering in his hospital bed, remembered the terrified waitress who'd spilled poisoned wine 4 months ago. She was gone, dead as Alexei Volkov. In her place sat a woman who could shoot without hesitation, lie without flinching, and love a dangerous man without apology. I'd chosen this life, this world, this man. And I had no regrets. Outside, threats gathered in the shadows. Inside, Dante's heart beat steady beneath my palm. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. Always.